Hi. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I have with me an absolute honor. We have Ajdin Ahmetspahić. Now, if I did said his name right, Ajdin and I met in Bosnia, and he is the tourism manager for the Bosnian Pyramid project. Now, I will tell you that his personality and reverence for Bosnia and for the project and for his whole involvement with that, I just found to be so uplifting. And I was so excited to talk to him in person. And I thought you guys might be excited to hear from him as well. So welcome, Ajdin.
Well, thank you, Melanie. What an introduction. Starting from pronunciation of my surname. Congratulations. Bosnia is in you. And thank you for those beautiful words. It was absolute pleasure to meet you here in Bosnia. And I'm very happy that I have a chance, and thank you for inviting me to share my modest little experience and thoughts that I have experienced over these years working in the project of Bosnian Pyramids.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the project, Ajdin. How did you get started with it, and how long have you been with it? And then we'll go from there.
Yes, I was always curious about us, about humanity, about civilizations, about various different questions were always popping up in my mind. So for me, during the high school and thinking about the college, the logical solution was going to study psychology, because the questions in my head were always about the man, about us, what we are, who we are, why we are here. But in the same time, those questions, I asked them the same things I asked about the ancient civilizations, basically because history can reply a lot about us. So basically it's like a archaeology of the earth and archaeology of the mind. These two archaeologists were always within me. So as a student of psychology and someone who was into the ancient civilizations and history, I was reading a lot, and I heard all of a sudden that there is a possibility of the largest and oldest pyramid in the world right in my backyard, since I was studying here in Sarajevo. Visoko is only 40 kilometers, around 25 miles from Sarajevo, from the capital of Bosnia, where I was studying. So I said, I definitely have to go and see that. So my first encounters with Dr. Sam, who was your guest in the podcast already, so you already had opportunity to meet him in person, but also your viewers. I mean, I was really amazed. I started reading his books, and it was everything I was always wondering about: the ancient history, lost civilizations, all these questions that seems to be answered when you're reading scientific and history books. But when you go a little bit deeper into it, you see that these questions are not exactly answered, but they are only theories. And he was writing about these theories that are presented to us as facts. But when you have a theory, it obviously doesn't reply the question immediately, but you need to go deeper. So I was reading about his books, and I was really interested in the project. I immediately fell in love with the pyramids and everything that was being done over there. So in one moment, I had opportunity to go there and work as a volunteer. Back then, they were accepting people who were willing to help them with the excavations on the Pyramid of the Sun, removing the material with the, of course, expertise and under supervision of the archaeologists and geologists. And for me, that was a wonderful and amazing opportunity that I couldn't miss. So my initial plan was to go there and stay with my friends and help them for 2 weeks. And here I am 17 years later, still doing the same thing, still on the pyramids. So basically I came there, I started helping, and I learned amazing things. So after 17 years, I realized that I learned more about the people than about the pyramids. Pyramids are amazing structures, prehistoric structures, but what comes with them, the experiences that I had and people that I met, changed completely my personality, everything I know, and filled completely in my own character as the person who was into psychology and the ancient history. So From the volunteer, I became a coordinator for the volunteers. Later, I became a guide. I was guiding the tourists and people all around the place. And then I became a coordinator of the guides. And now I'm in a position of the tourism manager. We have thousands of people visiting us. And yes, I'm very happy where I am. And there is plenty to learn.
This sounds like you were born for this, Ajdin. Sounds like you were born for this, and like you are fulfilling your purpose with this. Like, this project sounds like it was made for you.
I do believe that every single one of us is here with a certain purpose, and also everyone who visits the places like this are there with certain reason. Everyone who comes, I usually say, brings a piece of puzzle, brings a piece of information needed to see the larger picture. So as I said before, I learned more about us, about people. We have all those questions and we are trying to answer them, every single one of us. If you are scientist, if you're a professor, if you're archaeologist, geologist, a spiritual person, a spiritual leader, whatever, everybody has the same question. What we are, who we are, what happens next, why we are here. So in order to answer this question, we need others. We need other people. And only with taking other people's opinions, listening to them, listening everything critically, and doing that for a long period and being comfortable to leave your opinion, don't stick to it so much, but actually being brave to change yourself and change your statement actually brings you to a state in which you can start collecting more and more information. And as I said, everybody has a piece of puzzle, and more people, more puzzles, clearer the picture is, and the picture is huge. It's very big. So it's a matter of what you're going to do. If you're going to see just your little piece, which is not so clear, or you're going to accept other pieces and then realize what is more about you. This is up from person to person, but I believe everyone has the same tendency to understand and to ask these questions. So yes, I do feel like I'm doing something important, I'm doing something noble, and I'm doing something that I love to do. And I'm very happy about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's apparent. So tell me, what do you see happen when people come and experience the Bosnian pyramids for the first time?
Well, people have different expectations, and a lot of people heard different things. Some people heard nice, some people didn't hear enough, some people hear it from here, some from there, but everybody came with a reason. Okay, let me see what's going on there. So when they come, and when we do a tour through our archaeological sites and everything that we have here, we are trying to make them understand that this project and the pyramids in general are not just something that exists in material, physical dimension. You go to the Egyptian pyramids, you go to the Mexican pyramids, you go there, you make a picture, you publish it on your Instagram or Facebook, and basically that's it. I've been there. Pyramids are much more.
Yeah.
Pyramids are much more than that. Pyramids are much more than just a physical structure. Besides showing them all the arguments that Dr. Sam already said here, so I'm not going to repeat too much, but arguments, scientific arguments that we have about the concrete blocks, about the size of the pyramid, about the measurements, about the laboratory analysis and results, underground tunnels and chambers, and all these amazing things that we found out that are obvious proof that these structures have been built thousands of years ago with unknown technology. Beside that, the question pops up: who, how, and why? So if we are going through the classic mainstream science and history, there is no answer, there is no reply, but there is something here, obviously, and we can see it, we can prove it. So the second dimension of our understanding and the investigation of this project is energetic dimension. We are realizing that pyramids don't have anything to do with the dead people or tombs. We know that tombs or mummies, they don't have anything to do with the pyramids. But the pyramids are largest energy machines. Now, energy is also another word that can be used in a different ways. But what is energy? Energy is vibration, something that is moving around us, within us, behind us, underneath us, above us, everywhere around. So pyramids are using the natural sources of energy and amplifying them. Also, pyramids are having a very special and specific vibration. And Nikola Tesla, he says, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of vibration and energy. So I do believe that if the message from the past was to be sent to the future, they would not use classic or traditional mechanical ways of thinking in which we have been programmed to think, such as letters or symbols. These can be misused or misinterpreted or changed or whatever. But there is a universal language, and each human, regardless of the time line in which we live, past, future, whatever, now, in 10,000 years or 10,000 years ago or 20,000 years ago or 50,000 in the future, we always can read and understand this language, because this language is universal for humans. We have a center in the brain that reacts on a specific vibration. So for me, the energy and the vibration is the universal language. And language and the messages can be sent this way through the vibration. So if the pyramids are vibrating and producing this amazing electromagnetic beam that can be also used for many different things, as a communication device, as a unlimited source of energy for all our machines or whatever, but also the vibration from the pyramid can be a message from our ancestors sent through the time. So what we have to do is to make ourselves aware of that and remember that we are able to understand these messages and this language. And little by little, we are going there. And once we remember, we are able to hear the messages of the past. When you see the pyramids here in Bosnia, you see ancient structures of Peru, you see the pyramids of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, El Salvador, China, Indonesia, Mauritius, Egypt. You see that they are so perfect, they're so amazing, considering our technology today, the way they built them, with such a precision, with such an effort that needed to be made to do something like that we still cannot explain. You see that this was not built to last for their own lifetime. What we build today as houses and roads, they're 20, 30, 50, 100 years. It's basically we're building them for ourselves. All the structures, everything that we are constructing today is for our lifetime. But the structures of the past, of the ancient past, ancient history, such as pyramids, were invested with so much energy that they were not built for themselves. They're obviously built for someone in the future. Because everything you can see from the physical appearances and characteristics is to last, to withstand the time, to withstand the tectonic movements, landslide, erosion, floods. They can withstand all of that because these structures were not built by the builders for themselves, but for us. So basically, we are trying to hear what the messages of the pyramids are, and that's why we have this third dimension in our investigation, and that's spiritual dimension, in which we are trying to understand and to actually answer the question that we all have. Bosnian pyramids are not just a touristic attraction. They are not just something that you come and see and go away. This is something this is some place where you come to learn, to experience, to change the way you think, to get certain answers, to realize something, to get richer for specific experiences, messages that were sent to you and to the whole collective. And beside these three different dimensions, one very important thing comes up in the last 10, 15 years, since we are starting to measure various different phenomena and with various different instruments in the tunnels and on the pyramids. And that's medical dimension. We are realizing that the pyramids are supporting life, physical and mental. We see that it increases the speed of recovery of the cells, the negative ions, bringing more oxygen to our body, self-recovery, self-regeneration, the stress relief, lung capacities, the blood cells, basically everything, organ energy, life energy, basically everything in the pyramid is there to support life. So, to get back to your question, the people who are coming here for the first time, they're amazed because it's not something what they've expected, something touristic and something. It's much more than that, because this place is a place in which we are getting certain answers. And people who are visiting us are not just tourists, because they keep coming back. This is not the place in which you come and you can say, I checked in, I've been there. This is the place where you want to come back. And I'm sure there are places like this around the world, but this is a unique project in which we are systematically trying to use scientific and non-scientific ways in order to show that we maybe don't know everything about life and about ourselves as it's being presented to us in the modern times.
So much, as you said that. Now, just for everyone listening, I have been at the Bosnian Pyramids, and I had heard about the Bosnian Pyramids prior to going there. And I had interviewed Dr. Sam Osmanagic that Ajdin mentioned. So I thought I had an understanding of them. But when you just said something right there that I hadn't even thought of before. You said that they were built not for then, but for us right now. And you know, even being there, so I was there a few months ago, even being there and in that moment, and I believe I had an open mind to all different kinds of possibilities and my understanding of what I thought might be possible. But I hadn't even ever considered that they were purposely built for us.
They are like
Wow.
time capsules, you know. That's what makes it even more exciting. This place is so exciting because every day we are excavating and cleaning those ancient tunnels that are leading underneath the pyramids. We are removing the material that someone brought in to close it completely. Why? We hope to protect it, because we can see these dry walls on each side tunnel. Someone was carefully building dry walls and then filling the material in, and then drywall again, and then filling material. So we are removing this filling material, and it's so exciting to see what's going to happen next after this side tunnel or this side tunnel. Sometimes we discover the empty part of the tunnel. Sometimes we discover tunnels with the water. Thousands of years old water, still completely clean. You know, microbiological testing in laboratory tells us, yeah, this is perfectly clean and drinkable water, thousands of years standing in the same place. Or you discover amazing artifacts, such as we're discovering these mega ceramic blocks, huge blocks that someone made because they're not with the natural material, they're mixed of the natural materials. But what do? They generate the energy and they create the electromagnetism based on the underground water and piezoelectric effect. I mean, something that is in front of you that looks simple, but basically when you go further into it, you realize it's much more. So it's very exciting. And also it's very exciting to every day experience this place. For me, it's not just what I experience, but it's looking into experiences of others. A lot of people come with a different thoughts, as I said. Someone thinks this, someone thinks that. You know, you always have some pre-thought about the place when you come. What do you expect? So it's, for me, very interesting to see what those people are going to experience. And it's almost always something extraordinary that they were not expecting to experience. Something that goes deeper than just a physical and material acknowledgement. So yes, it opens up a lot of questions. During the research of this project, each new reply, each new answer creates additional 10 questions. But you know, what I learned during these 17 years is to be also, how to say, is to be modest about my knowledge, because the knowledge is not something that is final. It's fluent, it's changing, it's constantly coming and going, it's advancing. And this is the difference between those who want to see, those who want to become aware, those who want to wake up, than those who don't want. Because when you want, you realize that there is no final thought, that there is no final revelation, but it's a road to it. Just get more and more and more, and you're getting better and better picture, as I said. But there is no final picture. You just see it more clearer. And when you realize that, then you become more modest, and then you're realizing, okay, everybody has something to offer. Everybody. From a person who comes, I don't know, from a village, who doesn't know anything about it, who is listening to you and giving you certain feedback, to, I don't know, professor from esteemed university who will give you another answer, or some spiritual leader. So everybody has something. And it's not just for this place. If we look at in this way the world around us, that everybody can teach us something and we can teach something to everyone, then we are realizing that actually the humankind is much more connected than we ever thought. We are much closer to each other. The questions that we have are bringing us closer than the answers that we think we know. Something like that.
Yeah, you said something at the beginning that I want to touch on. You said something about remembering the wisdom from our ancestors. What do you think that you have remembered about yourself through this project?
What I learned so far is that there are two different kinds of vibration or energies or messages. We even proved that with the scientific equipment, with the measurements, with the instruments on some of the sites, especially in this amazing place called Tumulus that we have visited during our tour. I don't know if you remember. We have discovered the electromagnetic beam that behaves completely opposite of how it should behave in the classic physics. It behaves more like in quantum physics because it moves almost in a spiral way. But then there is a one that gets stronger as it's closer to the source, which is down there in the structure, and another one that is stronger as we are measuring up in the space, closer to the atmosphere, which means there are two different electromagnetic beams, one coming down and one going up. And for me, this is an absolute answer that there is always and constant communication through the humans, through the plants. You see the tree. What you see, the tree is above, but what you can't see is there is a huge network of the roots underneath, almost the same as the branches above, which means that the tree communicates with the ground, sending the information, in this case minerals and water, to the leaves, and leaves communicating with the sun, with the cosmos, taking the energy of the sun into the branches. So it's constant communication. The same happens with us. We are the beings who live on the surface, but we are connecting to the surface and to the upper ground. So what we cannot see is that there are roots underneath us and we are connected to the ground. Grounding is very important, but also that there is aura and the field around us that goes into the space. So the pyramids basically are almost for me like a communication device in which I like to compare it in this way for people to make it easier to understand. Like if you have a lot of, I don't know, files on your computer or whatever, music files, documents, whatever, you put it on the external hard disk drive. External hard disk drive is where all this information is stored. So if we consider ourselves as a human beings, as a aware and people with a consciousness, the planet Earth is also a being with its own consciousness, but the consciousness of the planet exists of all of the consciousness that existed and will ever exist, of all our thoughts, of all the energy, of all the emotions, and everything that we ever experienced as a human beings, and everything that we will ever experience comes from there, from this external hard disk drive. Some call it Akasha, some call it informational field, some call it different names. But for me, it exists. Divine, sacred energy made by Creator, however you want to call it, but it's there. around us.
Mhm.
And when you want to download something or you want to use something from your external hard disk drive, you simply put the USB flash drive and you download what you need. So for me, external hard disk drive is above us, around us, and us, every single human being, regardless of where they live, how old are they, their culture, their background, whatever. You're all like a walking USB flash drives, and we are able to connect to this external hard disk drive in each moment of time and download the information we need and want. This is the fact for me. This is how the law of attraction, the prayer, everything works. We just need to ask for it. We just need to ask the right question. We just need to know what we want to download. I often say we are not aware that we are connected, so we are downloading viruses or information that is not relevant or important. But once we are aware of that, we can get any information we want. And this is exactly, for me, what the pyramid is teaching us. You can have the access. Where did they get their knowledge from? Maybe ancient visitors, but maybe the consciousness of the informational field around them, they simply knew how to use that. So how to reach that, how to connect it and get the replies, get the answers, get the information. But since I mentioned that there is a two-way communication, what makes it even more fascinating and more optimistic in a way is that we can also upload files. As a person, as an individual, I can always send something up in external disk or into the field that someone else can use. So I can send the information up there. So what we are doing here, we are downloading and we are uploading. This is a double-way communication. So from my own download and what I learned is that there are two different sides of the messages that were sent to us. One of them is individual for each one of us. Each one of us, as we said in the beginning, has their own role in this world, in this existence, in this body, in this experience. I also learned that there are no 7 billion people on the planet right now, but one consciousness living through the 7 billion bodies. We see that as a different time, but if there is no timeline, if it's a circle, this central consciousness is simply living and experiencing itself through the different people. So there are no different people, basically. It's just the same consciousness experiencing itself with the different bodies. So we're all the same. I'm you and you are me in every other life. I'm everyone who has ever been, and I'm also everyone who will ever be, which gives completely another perspective on how we treat the good and bad, because I'm also the bad people that existed. So if I can justify my own actions of doing when I do something that maybe is not so good, and if I can forgive myself, then I should forgive myself in other bodies and in other experiences and try to help myself in other bodies. So we should not be quick to judge others because it's us experiencing it in another life. So let's try to help us by helping others. So basically, it's that we exist in two ways, in this body and in each other body. So this message is individual message. It says something for you in this experience, whether it's connected to your work, to business, to family, to your private life, whatever. But something that only you need to hear and to know. Why are you here? What is your role? What you should focus on. And it will give you that. The pyramids are open portal to the informational field, and it's very easy to connect to the informational field and to download information that needs to be downloaded for you. But second part of the message, second side of it, is the collective message, is a message that is important for all of us, is a message that comes to all of us the same. And that is the message of unity. That is the message of togetherness. That is the message that only together we can achieve the real prosperity. We can achieve the real potential as human beings. I like to say, when you finally wake up, when your experiences, when you realize, when you want to see more and more, and you start learning, and you're waking up, and you see where you are, the first thought is to wake up others. You want to wake up others. You want to make everyone see what you do. But you cannot do it by force. A lot of people try to do it, not by force physically, but metaphorically. Try to prove it, and people are not ready for that. So you need to be wise. You need to find a way in which you're going to approach people with this. So what I'm saying is, like, when you wake up, you want to wake up others, but you don't wake them by force, because if somebody wakes you up from the deep sleep, you just want to go back to sleep. You're nervous. You're not in a mood to see anything. But just leave me alone. I don't want to hear what you're telling me. Just let me sleep. So we need to find a way how to wake them up gently. So first touch them a little bit, see if they're ready. If they're not waking up, let them sleep. Come back later, try again and again and again until they're ready. But once they wake up, they're going to clearly see what you're telling them. And it's going to be much easier for them to understand. And they're going to join you. And then there will be two of you waking up others, and it's going to go faster and faster. So one awakened individual can change himself. But collective group of people who are awakened, they can change the world. I do believe that our ancestors possessed the community of awakened individuals who knew that their real capacity is much more than what seems to be natural. It's much, much more. And they knew that. And the messages that they sent to us is telling us, stick together, stay together, work together, understand each other, treat each other well, because it's the same you. And then you will realize the true potential of you as a human being. Often people ask me, do I believe in aliens or alien theories or whatever comes up? I sometimes see that people are running towards these kind of theories or answers or questions when we see in which state the world is today. Unfortunately, it's not so good. We can see that we are saying for ourselves that we are most advanced civilization that ever existed. We have the same philosophical questions and thoughts 2,000, 3,000 years. We still have wars and hunger, and we still have a lot of injustice. So regardless of the technology that we have, we do not live in an advanced world. Technology cannot be a measure of advancement. It just makes us live easier. Actually, living easier keeps our potential low, and we are not waking up. So the technology is not what makes us advanced. It's the insight within the individual and within the collectives, with the community. So what we need to do is to actually realize that we can do much, much more than what we've been told. Once we realize that, we are starting to grow. Yeah, these are the messages for me, the messages of the pyramid. It's not just about what we could do, but what we can still do. So people about talking, yes, I come back to the alien theory. Yes, when we see ourselves and when we see how fragile we are and how the world is fragile and what we can do, and seeing all these structures in the past, we usually say, oh, we could not do that. Or situation in the world, like, oh, we cannot, there has to be someone else to save us, something higher, something supernatural, something out of this world. That's, for me, a pessimistic way of seeing us as a civilization. Do I believe in aliens? I don't know, but I believe in humans. I believe in us. I believe in people. I believe we can do much, much more than what we think. So opening up in this way, understanding what we can do, can lead us to the better future. One very universal message of the pyramids.
Yeah, that very powerful. As you were saying that, I couldn't help but think, if the Bosnian pyramids are allowing us to experience our true potential, and if sites like this are allowing us to experience our true potential, and being there and then hearing about how it was bombed and different things, I can't help but think whether there's been wars in different areas of true human potential to take us away from our true human potential?
Could be very easily, because I said, and I often say, if you wanted to hide something as the largest pyramid in the world that possesses the unlimited knowledge, the Bosnia is perfect place. Bosnia has a really rich and interesting history, but unfortunately not so bright always. This is a small piece of land, but geographically in very, let's say, hectic position between east and west. There is probably a reason for that too. There is a special energy that can be felt here. Beautiful nature, very modest and nice people, but also very violent past. So the society in which we live, and where the individuals who are not eager to see the larger picture and who are not eager to wake up, and these individuals, if they take the place of power, they're going to do everything to stop others from realizing their true potential. This is the law which proved in so many different examples throughout the history, in microcosmos and macrocosmos, in microlocation and macrolocation. So basically, it's absolutely possible that this place is not being, I would say, commercialized or not being shown as it is, because it might hide something that can change the course of the human evolution, consciousness, evolution of the consciousness. So yeah, unfortunately, this place has so much to offer, and yet is not so much interest. But we are changing that. In this project of the pyramids, we are bringing so much light. We are bringing so much joy. We are sending so much love for everyone, everywhere, that we're trying. We know that, spark of light is enough to destroy darkness. So light is always stronger than darkness, and love is always stronger than fear. So regardless of how the forces of fear and evil and darkness are, since there is smallest sparkle of light and love, it cannot be defeated. So what we are doing is that we are trying our best to send those kind of messages. And indeed, if you could see the park that we have built together with people from all around the world, next to the tunnels and next to the pyramids, we are trying to bring people from all over the world together, and exactly to understand what I've been telling before, that we are all the same. And this unity bringing us together sparks love and hope. And now with this, we are changing the people are hearing about Bosnia. So it's finally someone in Canada or US who always had the negative, comparison to Bosnia. When they hear Bosnia, the first thing that comes to mind is something negative and bad that happened here. But now, with the project of the pyramids and people coming together and the messages that we are sending, we are completely changing that premise. We want to see the people, and we want to invite them here, and we want them to see that there is completely different energy in Bosnia than the one that they've been told.
I agree. Here in Canada, and I know in the States and different people that I've talked to as well, my perception in my mind of Bosnia was, I remember seeing pictures of Sarajevo blown apart in the war. Basically a decimated city, that just a dry, dusty desolation. And when I heard about the Bosnia pyramids and I decided that I was going to go there, and I started looking into Bosnia, I was so surprised, first of all, how green and lush it was. I had so many people say, "Wow, Melanie, you're going there by yourself. Are you sure it's safe?" And I will tell you from my experience being there, I felt safer there than in my hometown, small hometown of Canada. And I experienced a few moments that honestly led me to tears, because when you talk about this feeling of what you were just describing as far as our purpose to help people and etc. And I experienced something with one of the young men in the Bosnian Pyramid project. Now I needed a ride back to the hotel, and I asked him what would be the best way to get back. He said, "Come with me, I'll give you a ride right now." And so I'm riding with him in his car. And normally, I mean, you'd offer to pay somebody. He refused to take any money from me. And he looked me in the eyes with such love. And he said, "It is my duty and my honor to be able to help somebody in need." And he said, "I refuse to take any money." And it to me, that experience summed up my trip as far as what people can experience. And it made me think differently just about everything that we've been being shown. And, this last many years has been an acceleration of division. An acceleration of division and kind of an amping up of division. But at the same time, that amping up of division has created a stronger sense of and purpose of unity. And I feel like that, everything that we have been told about so much in the Eastern cultures is absolute nonsense. And I can't wait to experience more of the cultures that I feel like we have maybe not been openly shared some of their true potential. And that was my experience leaving Bosnia, and why I wanted, honestly, to have such a open and great conversation with you, because as the tourism manager of the Bosnian Pyramid Complex, I felt like you just embodied this sense of unity that I could feel. And it honestly, it changed. I think once people feel that, they realize that everything that they are told has at some point maybe not been accurate.
Perfectly said, perfectly put. Exactly. This is something that what we need to learn also today is that the only way to be certain of something is to actually witness it with our own eyes. I mean, 99.9% of the information that we possess about other cultures, about other people, about what's happening where, comes through the media, comes through the social media, comes through the picture of something someone made to see. So what if this picture is inaccurate? What if this picture is not completely false, but inaccurate enough to guide you to the different conclusion? And this is exactly what you experienced. I mean, the hospitality of Bosnian people is exactly what you described. But I'm sure that something like this is easy to experience anywhere else in the world. And probably in the parts of the world that we are being told to not go. We are being told that there is nothing there, being told that it's completely dangerous. So it's very important to keep traveling, to keep exchanging knowledge, information between each other rather than through the mainstream media. So we have the internet as a powerful tool, but it can also be misused. So we need to be careful to use it the way we should use it. So Bosnia is a beautiful modern country with the modern cities, world, technology, and whatever, transport, with the beautiful nature, with the beautiful rivers, with the beautiful lakes, waterfall, culture, very deep and rich, history, deep and rich, food, amazing. A lot of people love the Bosnian food. Yeah. So I'm not saying that you should believe something or you should, I don't want to import my own experience and tell, but people should come if they have an urge to find something, they should come by themselves and see those kind of things. I'm glad that you had opportunity to see that it's something different. We have to distinguish also the culture between what is being told and culture and religion and everything that's being said to us. People can be different. People can be, but that can be also a powerful thing. In Bosnia, we have 3 different religions. Someone tried to use that as something to spark the conflict. But people between themselves, they still live in beautiful peace and harmony without ever noticing anything different between themselves. So that's why Bosnia is also a perfect place to speak about the harmony, to speak about the tolerance. We have these different religious objects in the cities in 50, 60 meters square. You have 3 or 4 different religious objects, monuments, and we all celebrate everything. So yeah, this is a good place to preach the tolerance, to preach the unity and the harmony. And when you connect the pyramids into it and this project and what we are doing there, it's pretty clear that this is a powerful place between East and West, somewhere in the middle, perfect place to actually connect, to be a bridge between worlds and the cultures. So thank you for experiencing that and for sharing that. And as I said to you before, you are the ambassador of Bosnia, and it's important for people to know that there is so much more to see and to experience, and it's important to do so.
So if you were to think of one powerful story told to you by somebody that had visited the pyramids about what they experienced, what story would you share?
Well, we have a lot of stories that we are sharing now on our social media. That's basically about healing testimony. We have, since we started these measurements, and since we got these results, that they're basically improving our health and self-regeneration process, we start getting more and more people coming for this purpose. Some come with a question, some come for different reasons, basically, but some of them come for medical reasons. And we have amazing stories about people with even some heart diseases or some problems or some issues, physical issues. And after spending some time here, they're just absolutely compelled with what they experience and how they feel after that. We even started having doctors prescribing their patients. Yes, they said, yeah, maybe you should go and try spending some time in the tunnels and on the Bosnian pyramids. And people do come. And then we see some people that are there every day. We ask them, we come to them, we ask them, yes, he said, we're coming for the last year or 2 months or 5 months or 5 years. Some person got, I don't know, much better. Some people completely healed. Some people use it as a part of their therapy. So for medical aspect, amazing stories that we still have. From a social aspect, I mean, it's changed the life of many. But for me, as a volunteer who came here for 17 years ago to be part of something larger, just to help for 2 weeks, I've seen so many interesting people. We used to sit 20 or 30 of us on the terrace of the hotel, laughing to the same jokes, understanding each other. We just look at each other and I said, look, guys, we are the pyramid. This is what the pyramid is. It's bringing people together, understanding that we are the same. So we had people who met other their partners here, who started the families by meeting someone here as a volunteer or as a tourist, buying houses here, living here. A lot of people moved from Western Europe, from US, from England, from Italy, from Bulgaria, from different parts of the world, Australia as well, who bought a property, bought a house, or met a partner here, and they moved completely to Bosnia. And now the Bosnia and the pyramids are part of their everyday life. Regarding some special experiences, mystical things that happened, it happened a lot. Some of them I can't share this tribe, but some of them are really so amazing. I used to see a dry piece of wood that we used to put in the tunnels to cover certain artifacts that had not yet been examined, like these ceramic blocks. It was February or beginning of the March, and we were putting the dry branches in the tunnels. I was there to protect them. And then it was Friday and we were not working over the weekend. On Monday, we came back and we seen that these branches started flowering. Flowers started to grow on the branches that were in the darkness of the tunnel. So there is a life in this place. There is a life energy. There is an organ energy. When there is an energy, there is a light. When there is a light, there is a love. So yeah, a lot of amazing experiences, but in a way, each experience is different. So we are encouraging everyone to come and experience it for themselves, whether it's on scientific level, spiritual level, energy level, medical level. Come and experience it for yourself. I'm sure you will have something to share later.
Well, there's so many more places that we could go with this conversation, but I think you have summed up in a nutshell the important aspects of humanity and also ourselves. When you were talking about 2 weeks, you know, volunteering for 2 weeks to go and be part of something bigger than yourself. I had the thought there, wow, if we all went, regardless of the project, if we all went and volunteered somewhere for 2 weeks to be part of something bigger than ourselves, imagine what this world would be.
Great. This is exactly what it brought to me. I mean, when you go somewhere, you know, completely selfless, not being selfish, just giving your energy. I often say, in order to receive something, you need to give something. You know, when we're climbing the pyramid, all these stairs, you know, it requires an energy. It requires certain physical energy, and you have to give up. I say to people, how can we expect to gain something, some knowledge, some information, something to be given to us just like that? We need to invest. We need to give something, whether it's a physical energy or a time. In my case, not being selfish, being completely open and wanted to help as a volunteer brought me everything and gave me much, much more than I was expecting. And as you said, if we all think in certain way like that and try to give a little bit of our energy in something that is not expecting anything in return, just for something that is greater than us, as you said, for projects in our own local community, I'm sure the results and experience that you're going to have within yourself is going to be enlightening. It's going to be activating and illuminating, as the name of the show.
Well, I can think of no better statement than to end this podcast on. Ajdin, now, is there anything else that you would like to share before we complete?
Well, the message for everyone who is listening to this is just to stay curious, ask questions. Don't make too much, how to say, strong conclusions that you cannot leave, conclusions that are believing in strongly. Always leave a space for expanding your knowledge. Stay curious, ask questions. And if you want to experience Bosnia and Bosnian Pyramids, don't take my word for it. Just come and experience the place for yourself and make your own conclusion about that and expand them. Always expand them. So stay open, be full of love, and let's make a better world. There is still hope. We believe in humans.
Yeah, very nice. Well, just so everyone listening, we will absolutely have Ajdin's contact information, how to reach out to him, how to be part of this. I know myself, I experienced this and went on one of the tours that they had through there, and it was phenomenal. And so I would implore anybody to go and check out and stay in the lovely town of Isoko. So thank you. I cannot think of a more authentic and inspiring conversation than the one that we just had, because honestly, as I was listening to it, you allowed me to feel so much. So I appreciate your perspective.
I appreciate, and I'm very grateful, and I'm very, very happy if I could help in any way, at least to make you feel the way you feel right now. And I'm honestly very happy to share everything that I know because everything that I know comes from the others. So it's a common knowledge, it's a collective knowledge, and it belongs to all of us. So I'm very happy that I'm just a little bridge between all those information. And thank you very much for what you are doing, for bringing all the people, all this information, all these stories alive, because this is exactly what I was talking about. The internet is a tool that should be used wisely. And this is a beautiful window into the world of knowledge, of information, of experiences that everyone should experience for themselves. The best gift that God has gave us is a freedom of choice. And to choose to do something like this from you is very noble. So thank you, Melanie, as well. And thanks to everyone who is listening and who are still asking the questions and who are thirsty for some knowledge, information, and I'm sure we are full of love that we still have to share.
Well, thank you, Ajdin. We'll end that here. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.